Welcome to another edition of If Not Now, When. Unfortunately, this is we are live from home, unfortunately. We'll be back in the studio before you know it. But excitingly, this is season number 3. Elizabeth, welcome back.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a little while, but I'm glad that we're back together again. We're not in our lovely TV studio, but we're still together, and that's what matters the most.
That's
How was
all
your
that
summer?
matters. It was delightful. Even though we're in lockdown and everything, it was the best summer I've had. That was the best summer of my life.
Yes, we got to spend some time together. That was pretty cool.
You know what? I didn't realize what a hermit I was.
This week, we are joined by a great guy. He's a philanthropist, community activist, actor, and a
Ooh,
man of many talents. Please welcome to If Not Now When, Mr. Eric Clinton. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm amazing, guys. I'm so grateful for you guys letting me come up here.
We appreciate you being on our show today. Our theme and our message this week on our show is Your Voice Matters. Stay engaged in your community. And Eric is very involved in his community, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, I run I ran an NAACP when I was in college. I was the president of the Black Student Union when I was in at Southern Connecticut State University. I've ran and organized multiple protests, and I've been at the almost every march in Connecticut, ranging from Haven to Hartford, up to Bridgeport to Stamford, um, even in Massachusetts. I've been all pretty much all over the country. I went down to DC for the annual March on Washington for the 50th anniversary, and saw Reverend Al Sharpton and everyone else who was out there. I was on the steps. Like I wasn't just in the march. I wasn't just next to the water. No, I was behind Dr. Sharpton. And I saw the fathers and fathers and mothers of Breonna Taylor, of Jacob Blake, of Elijah McClain, and I heard them. So it's a little bit deeper than just a regular or the average activist. Like, nah, I'm out here. I'm doing the thing. So, but I mean, I think it's up to our generation to do it at a time when country this country when it is dangerous for people who are over the age of 50 or 60 to be in the streets marching, and you still see them marching, and still see them putting in the work and the effort. It's the least that we can do as young people to get out there and actually make our voices heard. Um, and just until we make America actually great. So
Wonderful, wonderful.
you know, Eric, I marched a lot for about 5 years, but I can't right now because I need eye surgery and my standing is off. So, but it was the most wonderful thing I've ever done in my life. I enjoyed meeting new people and they were wonderful. I think people who are involved in their community and will go out of their way to march and put the time in, those are my kind of people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are in a time where being active in your community and being involved and making changes is very important. We're getting ready to go into the vote, and it's important that we're all out there being active and that the vote is casted. You have to be engaged in your community. It's very important. Can you tell us a little about some of the other things that you do?
Yeah, sure. So not only am I an activist in the community, I'm also an active member and youth leader of my church. That is, something that I hold near and dear to my heart. I'm helping all the youth in my church. I hold 3 Bible studies a week, and then have a prayer call on Friday with different individuals from all over the country, and we've been trying to stay connected to God during this pandemic as well. Not only am I in the church, I just had to put that one out there first. I also make music. I have an album out on all streaming platforms, called
Mm-hmm.
Reflections. I just hit 160,000 streams, and that's just on Spotify. So all throughout all the networks, I'm not sure where I'm at. It's probably up to 200,000 now. But um, my album is out. It's called Reflections. I dropped it in January, and everyone is seeming to like it. It's R&B. And my new album is coming soon. It's actually coming on Election Day. Just to get people out there to go vote, so they have the reminder. And then I'm an actor as well. So I just got booked an agent out in LA for my acting stuff. And yeah, I do stage, film, and even some modeling from time to time. So it's been a wild ride. So yeah, I'm really engaged, and just my life is all over the place. But with it being all over the place, I have to do what matters, and that is helping my community and giving back while also mentoring others as well. And the next thing that I'm getting into is I'm launching my own business called Church Life Consultants, where I'm going to be a life coach, where I'll be helping people, helping people out with their life situations, um, showing them how to build action plans so they can figure out what their purpose is, help them discover their purpose, and then actually help them accomplish it. And that Church Life Consultants really room for grace. So it's not about being perfect; it's about progressing. So as long as you're progressing at Church Life Consultants, we're on good terms. So we're the life coaches that people are gonna really love and really need. So that's the next venture I got going on. So
That sounds wonderful. We could all use a life coach.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you find any
yes,
challenges being very active in the community? You ever face any challenges being so active?
definitely. So, being like double booked to speak, like, is definitely a challenge when when someone wants you to speak at one protest and then they want you to speak at another protest on the same day, especially in like June when there was protests happening every second, every minute. If someone wanted me to speak in Stanford versus wanting me to speak in like Hartford, like, and trying to figure out how to be able to maneuver myself from getting from one place to another. I also think that people sometimes don't understand the messages that they want to convey because there's a lot of hurt and there's a lot of anger and there's a lot of pain. So a lot of times, like, people will just like get up, at a protest and just speak like regularly, like without any action, like it or a call to action or with a purpose. So like in those times, like, because there's no like messaging behind what we really want to do as a community, and because everyone's ideologies are different, I'm trying to figure out a concise plan for us as a community also very difficult. So one of the things that I always speak about when it comes to voting, when it comes to what happens to our community, is calling our local legislators and making sure that we don't just vote, making sure that we hold them accountable. Like, these are the people that we put into office to do what we would like to do, and if they're not doing the job, just like anybody else not doing their job, let's get them out of there. Um, Literally get someone else in there who's going to work for us, because that's literally why you vote for someone. You vote for them so that they can do the work that they need to do for their constituents. And if they're not doing the work for you, just like you would do in any other job, fire them.
Yeah,
Fire
absolutely.
them.
And
I am all about fire.
so,
Yeah, absolutely. Eric, would you ever consider a political run?
yes, I actually do have political aspirations in the future. Later, a little bit later on in life. So when I'm actually eligible to run, because
Mhm.
right now I'm 24. So when I am eligible to run, I'm gonna definitely run for federal office. So I'm probably gonna run for um, either the House or I may run for the House first, but I know ultimately I'm gonna run for Senate. Um, but yes, I definitely have political aspirations. But a lot of the work, and it's funny to actually say this, but a lot of the work that we would see on a local level happens in local politics. So your state representative, your state. Those are the ones that are making a change for you in your life, and most of the time, people don't know their names.
Right.
That's exactly right.
So I'm definitely gonna have that run as well, because wherever we are, like within the community, we have to make sure we're holding them accountable as well. It's not just the president, it's not just your federal senator, it's not just your Congress member. No, no, no. Call your local state senator. Like, why do you not know their name? They live down the street from you. Call your city council, call your mayor, call your governor.
Absolutely. So I'm just taking a quick look at your bio. You say that Jesus is a huge part in your life, having been saved at the age of 9 years old, and believes that he's nothing. I'm sorry. And he believed then and believes now that he is nothing without him. Can you tell us a little about your relationship with religion and how it relates to your activism and theater? Because you and music, you have all these things that kind of relate to each other. Can you tell us how it all brings it together?
Yeah, definitely. So, the whole reason that I am who I am, right? The whole reason that I love so much, the whole reason that I um, I treat people the way I want to be treated, or I want the country to treat people the way they want to be treated, is because I've been taught the ways of Christ. And in my teaching, in my learning, like, God showed love. Like, and I think that's the thing that people get away from, especially with Christianity, or the negative stereotypes you hear with Christianity, is that, like, there's a lot of judgment that happens, and people judge each other, and people are hypocrites. And it's, at the end of the day, like, God is here for you. Like, he just shows love. He forgives people. He doesn't judge you when you've messed up. He lets you come to the throne of grace and be forgiven. And a lot of the time, people are thinking about the people when it comes to church, and not thinking about Jesus. And as long as I've been alive, and as long as I've been, an actual Christian, like, I've learned how to follow his ways. And in following his ways, Jesus led the protest. Yeah, I think, like, if you go back to, like, the Bible, you'll see Jesus starting the commotions. You'll see people in crowds, like, talking about ideas that were taboo at the time, or talking about ideas that were against the kingdom, because everything that was going on in the kingdom was corrupt at the time. So if Jesus could protest, right? If Jesus could lead protests, if Jesus can talk to thousands of people, he can do it, right? And he can show love through that, and show that we all need to love one another, through the racism, through what you were taught, through the hate you feel for one another. Like, why can I? And why can't I be the example of what he is, so that maybe you saw a Christian before, but you ain't see the Christian that you're looking at today? Like, because when you see me, you're gonna see him. So that reflects in not only the activism, but that also reflects in my acting. Because at the end of the day, God gave me the gift to act. Sometimes we like to think of things as talents, but they're God given. And if you're good at something, right, and you excel at something, then God literally dropped that in you. So, like, I use him. I pray for every time I get on stage, that in my acting, in my performance, that someone sees God through me. And it always happens. They're like, "There's something different about you." I'm like, "God," and I'm like, "Hey, like, that's exactly what I want. Like, that's exactly what I want. As long as you can see God through me, then I'm doing a good job of representing Him." Um, and then in my music, I've literally, this album is gonna be crazy. This next album is insane. But you hear me talk about God. You hear me talk about the church. You hear me talk about, my struggles, even, like, trying to be a believer. But how God is, like, you really kept me, and kept me strong, and kept my mind through this pandemic, and through life, and through every situation. So, um, it correlates in everything that I do.
Now, with your music, do you have like a message in your music? Do you use a little religion in your music? Your first album that you came out with, tell us a little about the writing style and what kind of messages you have in your songs?
All right, cool. So a lot of my songs, because they're R&B, are about, finding love, um, figuring um, you know the real feeling and genuineness of love. So the first song is called, the first song is called, it was the intro, but second song Ride. And actually how I created this album, right? I actually was very toxic. I was very manipulative. I had like this whole spree of like being in relationships that were just negative and unhealthy. And I took 6 months, off from relationships, off from, different women. And I really just reflected on myself. That's why the album is called Reflections. So in the reflections, like I talk about, literally it's a journey from how I was toxic, and literally as you move throughout the album, it's like I'm getting better, I'm getting better, I'm getting better. This is where I need to be. This is where I've gotten, and like this is real genuine love. And like I reflected on the past. Every single L was a lesson. So every time that I lost, I learned something, and now I'm no longer toxic. Um, so the album, like in regards to writing, it went from ride, whereas like I would take rides, uh, different women pick them up in their different cities, to selling dreams, where I was selling more than I could remember. So I would honestly be like giving them false hope about relationships. And then from selling dreams, it was about, is it mine? It's like, even though you're not really mine, like, are you still mine? And then
Yeah.
from there, it was my interlude, where I talk about a lot of things that I was facing, depression, how God healed me from that, how people deal with the world differently. So there's a line in my song, in that song, where I say, some people find peace from rolling up a blunt. Others find peace by giving God their soul. And I say, I just want peace where within. I'm not worried about judgments, or I'm worried about sin. So I literally, really get into how deep that is. And I talk about waiting. I was waiting on different women and actually be in a relationship. And then I go to rock the boat, which we all know what that means. And then I go to West Coast, which is, long distance relationships, and trying to figure out how that works. And then I go into Reflections, which is the end of the album, where I really break down you every situation of every girl, and I call them by, not by names, but nicknames that I use, and I talk about the situations, and I explain how they're a lesson. It was really good. It was a really good album. So people are really
Interesting.
loving it.
Really, that sounds great. One of the things that we do here at the show is we do a weekly quote, a quote that relates to what's going on. And Elizabeth has our quote of the week. Elizabeth, what's our quote of this week?
Okay, challenge yourself with something you know you could never do. And what you'll find is that you can overcome anything.
Elizabeth, what does that mean to you?
Well, there's two things that it means to me. One thing is some things you cannot overcome. I mean, and that's, it puts a lot of guilt on people to say you can overcome anything, because health issues, that's not your fault. What can you do? But on the other hand, if you never try, then, I say if you're trying, you're not failing.
Hmm.
That is the thing. And I used one of those examples earlier today as I went skydiving.
Wow.
And and
Wow.
I challenged myself to do it. And I have to tell you, it was one of the best experiences of my life.
I could
Be-
never.
Well, I didn't think I could either. I mean,
Amazing.
you jump out of a perfectly good plane.
Eric, what about you? What does the quote of this week mean to you? Challenge yourself with something you know you could never do, and what you find is that you can overcome anything.
Hmm. I think, like, for me, that is just, I think that's synchronization with what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to lose 100 pounds.
Wow.
Um, uh, so on my fitness journey, I've always struggled with what I eat. I've always struggled with meal prepping. I work out every single day. I'm a very muscular guy, but it's always what you eat. And having the willpower and the self control to eat healthy is difficult.
It sure.
So I think that definitely synchronization for that.
You're preaching to the choir here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I
To me, I
totally
believe challenge yourself. That's right there. You have to You have to say, if not now, when? You have to challenge yourself. You have to take that step forward, or it's never going to happen. If you want to get this degree, or if you want to get this job, if you want to lose the pounds, if you want to jump out the plane, you have to challenge yourself. You don't take that step to challenge yourself, you will never get there. People don't challenge themselves enough. They say, oh, I can't do that. I'm not going to try. You have to challenge yourself. And challenge yourself with something you know you could never do. And what you find is that you can overcome anything. It's absolutely true.
It is.
Absolutely. Eric, if you can leave a message to our youth in this time of our voting time, what would you say to our youth who need to know how much their voice matters?
Got you. Voting is the bare minimum. That is the bare
Very.
minimum for what you are required, right? Um, so get out and vote because it's the bare minimum. That's what you are. That's just making the mark, right? It is extremely important at a time in this political climate, as well as when we have a leader in power who is doing things that are illegal, and we don't have people in leadership who will hold him accountable. That shows you not only is the leader corrupt, but also the other pieces moving under the leader that are supporting that leader also corrupt. So at a time where you are looking at the face of corruption more than we have ever seen in America's history, um, that should be a call to action, um, to get out and vote. But after you vote, right? Now it's time to really hold these legislators accountable. Make phone calls to their office. They should know your name. You should be a thorn in their side to the point where they're like, oh, Eric's calling again? Oh, I better get on that bill.
Yeah.
Eric's calling again? I need an update on that bill. Why is it not passed? Where's the stimulus checks? What is going? They should know you by name. You got to hold them accountable. Vote them in, but don't forget about them.
Mhm.
No.
Remember each name on the ticket that you vote. Take your phone out, take a picture of who you voted for, and if they win, it is your job as a citizen of this country to hold them accountable.
And you are
Because
the
at the end of the day,
you're the employer.
Mhm.
You're the boss.
Yep.
exactly,
Mhm.
you
Absolutely.
are paying their salary. You
Yes.
are literally paying their salary every single time you pay taxes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, the message is do the bare minimum. And then after you've done the bare minimum, take the extra step.
Right. Right.
That's excellent.
Mhm. I'm thinking about volunteering on election day, being out there and helping with the polls and stuff, so we can get some assistance there.
Bob Dorr is doing that
Yeah.
building.
Okay.
Yes. You may want to call him if you he may have all the information you might need.
Wonderful. I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna get out there. So, Eric, if we want to know more about what you're doing and your projects, where do we go to find out more information?
All right. First, you can follow me on Instagram because my project link is in the link in my bio. So
Mhm.
it's Eric underscore church boy. And that's church regular and boy regular as well. So it's Eric underscore church boy. ERIC. There's no K in that. It's just Eric underscore church boy. The link for my album is in my bio. If you want to go to anything as far as like the music wise, it is my name backwards, which is Sire, CIR, and then the E is also backwards with a 3. So it's CIR3. It's on Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Google Play, Amazon Music. It's everywhere. So it's Sire, CIR3 if you want to find my music. And then on Facebook, it's just Eric Lynn. And if you want to follow any protest, you want to follow any activism, you want to learn about certain things, you want to learn how we do and how we are making a difference in the community, find me on Facebook. You could also, I post everything that I do on Facebook, on Instagram as well. So it's just Eric Clinton on Facebook. Eric Church Boy is the business page. You'll see different postings from all of the many things that I do. And if you want to see anything of doing my acting, you can just go to my YouTube, which is Eric Clinton 77. I have my demo reel up there. I have a couple shows that I've been in. And yeah, you can see me and book me. My acting website will be up soon, and that'll just be ericclinton.com. So
Thank you. But before we go, we have to do our pet peeve. One thing we do this show is we do a pet peeve of the week. We talk about something that bothers us, and maybe we can discuss how we can get over that. Elizabeth, what's your pet peeve of the week?
I don't know how we can get over this, but I'll tell you anyway. People who wear their mask down here.
Oh my gosh, so annoying.
Who knows? Why you've got the mask. You know why you're wearing it.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that?
Yes. Yep. Or
Makes no sense.
yep.
And the discomfort that I feel around someone who does that. And I really don't want to say, I one time did say, "Hey, why don't you pull your mask up?" No, no. I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Beat you up?
My pet peeve are the people who don't understand social distance. Like I remember, like I'm in the grocery store and I'm standing in line, and the lady comes. She's literally right breathing down my neck, and I'm like, "Lady, you see the markings on the floor? Go stand that mark, please. Can you just back up? Give me some room." That's my pet peeve of the week. Eric, do you have any pet peeves?
my pet peeve is being pulled over while black. I hate it. I've been pulled over twice. I got pulled over twice the same day.
Wow.
Twice the same day. So I hate when I get pulled over.
Mm-hmm.
How I can stop that, how I can do that is keeping my cruise control on, so that cops won't. If I do get pulled over, I can throw them the cruise control and be like, "This is the speed I was going."
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yes, absolutely. Be safe, please, 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 please.
definitely.
Well, that concludes this episode of If Not Now When. Eric, we want to thank you so much for coming on our season 3 premiere. We look forward to seeing all the many projects you do, and hopefully we can have you back in here very soon, maybe when you're in office.
Or
I would
running.
love to be back. Love to be back.
Yes. So, well, Elizabeth, I'm Shelby Davis,
I'm Elizabeth Petrachone.
and this is If Not Now When. We'll see you next time.